Welcome to The Bench Has Spoken, a Survivor podcast from Bench Points Network. Each week, we watch the latest episode of Survivor and provide recap, commentary, and predictions for the next episode. I'm Mary. This is Becca. We're longtime friends and longer time Survivor fans. Becca, I can't wait to talk about this episode. So
I
excited.
know, finally. We've been talking about this for months, since 49 ended. Even before 49 ended, we've been about 50. So during this episode, we're going to recap the 3-hour episode, talk about how we feel about it, any shock surprises, all the fun things. But I thought it would be great to kick it off just at the very beginning when Jeff welcomes them back onto the beach. I'm going to kick it over to you, Mary, but my favorite thing about the intro is that shot where Jenna was like looking down and she looked up and she had like her bright blue eyes. I thought gave me cold chills a little bit. And I don't know if that's dramatic or not, but I honestly don't care. I thought it was magical.
No, it was. And I'm a sucker for any time any production team makes something, like, super dramatic and emotionally charged and, like, can draw that type of reaction, so this whole intro was made for me. I feel like it was so nice, and, like, everybody was crying. I was getting, like, emotional. It was epic, and Jenna's such a good person to, like, start the focus on just as, like, an icon from season 1 at the very beginnings.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about Jenna real quick before we get back to talking about the welcome on the beach. She looks so good. She
Yeah.
looks so good. Um, I don't know what she's doing, but I need to do it.
Well, I was thinking then she's, like, one of those people where if you told me she literally had 0 cosmetic intervention ever, I would believe you because if she has done anything, it's not too much. She still looks like supernatural, and the Gen Zers need to, like, pay attention to Jenna because
Yeah.
she's rocking it.
Naturally beautiful. I like that Jeff started out with like, just talking to everybody casually like they were old friends. I thought
Mhm.
that was great. But he started with the Survivor players that had been a long time since they played and said, "Hey, you got any updates? What did you think about that?"
I thought that was sweet. I don't know. I feel like a lot of people assume that a newer era player is going to win the season, or even somebody like for me. I know we have new era, but I consider even anything from like season 30 and beyond like a little bit of a different game. So, I don't think anybody expects some of those older players to be around for a long time. So I think the more time we can get with them, the better. And it was kind of, I think, almost like respectful to start with them. And yeah, it's been so long, good to find out what's going on with people and get a chance. I did like, I pick apart everything, as you know, and, like, try to look for signs of things or like, overanalyzing. So I was very into, like, how they decided who they were gonna showcase in that moment, because I think oftentimes we see people who end up being really important in the season be the people that they focus on in those moments.
I think it's one extreme or the other. The players that are going to be there a long time or the players that are about to get the axe. They'll get like, oh shoot, we got to give them their moment of fame before we go now.
Yeah. I don't wanna get too far ahead of myself, but I felt like there were some things happening with that. Like, Coach, I think, was a prime example. There was so much Coach in this episode, and not even just, like, the times where it made sense, like, when he was fighting for the supplies or whatever, but just in general, and I'm like, I wonder if they're trying to get all the Coach in that they can because he only makes it to, like, week 3 or something like that. So,
I could see it. We've talked about this before, and I don't know if it'll be different this season because everybody is a big personality, or they wouldn't have had him back. But people that really take charge in the beginning seem to kind of put themselves at unnecessarily at risk. And Coach kind of led the charge this episode for
yeah.
sure. Do you think that they knew which tribe they were on before they opened their buffs?
That's a good question. I assumed it was legit draw, but I one thing that seems a little sus is the fact that all 3 winners were broken out into 3 different tribes. It felt like a random draw, but maybe it wasn't. Maybe they were just like,
So the winners were Kyle, Savannah, and who?
uh, D.
Okay,
Mhm.
nobody else won.
No. And we've
Gotcha.
already lost Kyle, so now we're just down to D and Savannah.
Interesting. I made a post on TikTok asking people not to like if you think you know a schooler, please don't like go to everybody's thing and comment, I know a schooler, I know a schooler. Well, somebody commented was like, everybody knows Savannah wins back to back. There's no way to know that, especially at this point. And his justification was that an airplane went in or left after season 49, airplane came back for 50 and then left again all to Miami. But like lots of people live in Miami. number one.
Yeah, we could have just been flying to Miami after.
And she's in Atlanta. So I was like, this isn't this.
I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if she won again, but I also don't think that we know that as
No,
an obvious I haven't heard anyone say that.
it was speculation at best. The first, you guys are going to have to give us a little bit of grace because maybe the first 5 minutes of the episode, Dana went to a Survivor watch party, which was Survivor premiere watch party, which was so fun. If you're located in Indiana, it was at the Fowling Warehouse in Indianapolis. And they also have more watch parties coming out throughout the season. So we'll probably be there, which is exciting. So if you want to go, you should totally go. But in the very, very beginning, the sound was a little bit iffy, and then we got it all situated, and it was fine. But if there's anything that we're missing in the first 5 minutes, just comment and let us know. We'll talk
Yeah.
about it next episode.
I had it up on my phone, was, like, trying to read the closed captions, but there was just so much happening, and then we ended up having to, like, move to a different area, so we did miss, like, a tiny, tiny little bit.
It was so good. They had a setup where you could make your own immunity idol out of beads, which was so fun.
I
They
should
had,
have been here to show.
I washed my jeans with my immunity idol in them. That's neither here nor there. Now you guys know that. But there was also the challenge where you had to hold on to the rope and balance the board with the blocks that spelled immunity, which was really cool. Neither one of us tried it. There was kind of a line, but it was neat that they had survivor activities. There
Mhm.
were Jeff ropes cut out and flags for each tribes that you could take pictures with. And just a lot of people that really liked Survivor and wanted to
Mhm.
chat about it and socialize. So it was super fun.
Yeah. It was really cool to, just, like, the crowd obviously was super excited, there was a lot of cheering when it started and just reactions to things happening through the episode. It was just really fun to hear the different, I guess, opinions, like, it became obvious who was cheering for whom and stuff like that, so that was kinda fun, I thought.
And I know there were a lot of premiere viewing parties, so I'll be curious if you went to a premiere viewing party, let us know where it was and what you did. I The Fallon Warehouse was also where the Indiana Idol was, so
Mhm.
I wonder if a lot of the Idol locations really leaned into that and became kind of the Survivor home base for that particular state.
Maybe except for that, I think it was Colorado, was, like, at the top of a mountain or something.
Okay, I can't imagine.
Well,
That's
you could get a projector.
right, they could get a projector projected on the side of Mount whatever is up there,
I love that.
which was
Uh,
good.
I thought okay, so we talked about Jenna's look. Can we talk about Ozzy for a second?
Yes,
There
please.
were so many times this season where he just looked like Jack Sparrow to
Yeah.
me, and, I mean, I know he's been rocking the long hair for a while, but it just ain't hitting, and my favorite thing is, like, the comparisons oh gosh, now her name is escaping me. To the lady that had, like, the same
Oh,
hair.
yeah. Yeah.
Gosh. But I did see that at, like, the premiere party and stuff, like, the reunion thing. He has cut it down a little bit this time.
Well, I have a blanket statement to all men, especially men with long hair. Once you start balding or have a receding hairline, people know. Even if you have a ponytail, people know. Not saying that's good or bad, and everybody should do exactly what they feel comfortable with. But receding your hairline and a ponytail is a bold move. It's like mullety. I love it. Old.
Yeah. It was Shambo, by the way. That was the
Shame on
person.
them. There's a side by side meme where they both got curly mullets, and they look very cute. But
Mhm.
it's the same haircut, one for like a middle aged lady, and one for Aussie.
I think my gym teacher in 8th or 7th grade had that same style.
Maybe she went in and asked for the Aussie. While we're on the subject of looks, there's somebody we've got to talk about that I'm still shocked about. Mike White.
The abs heard around the world.
Yeah, okay.
Gosh.
What the
How
heck?
random.
He seems like so innocent and cute and adorable, and then he pulls his shirt off, and everybody's like, "Excuse me, sir, what have you been doing?"
Plus the boxer briefs.
Yeah, right? Everybody was in their underwear within the first 15
Yeah.
minutes. You know, they were, and I could see that because new players on Survivor being on TV for the first time, cameras everywhere. I think initially I would be like, "I'm not taking my shirt off. I'm not taking my,"
Mhm.
but they're so desensitized to it, they're probably like, "Yeah, boys drop trowel. Let's get it."
I
Um,
was As I was rewatching some of the older seasons in prep for 50, I noticed, and I guess I just, like, blocked this out of my memory, that there are a lot of women in the earlier seasons, and I mean, still newer seasons too, but mostly the older seasons who wear, like, string bikinis and stuff, and I'm like,
Well, they used to. I remember them doing challenges and boobs would fall out and they'd have to blur 'em, but not anymore. People keep those things strapped down. Wouldn't good. She looked cute. Her little bathing suit that was like a longer top, and, like,
Mhm. Yeah, that's what it was.
she looked really cute.
That was a smart choice for competitive reality television.
Yeah. Well, and she's there to play, and she's not there to, um, just mess around. I'm trying to
Agreed.
think if there are any other initial reactions. Oh, what did you think before we move on to the challenge? What did you think about the 3-hour format?
I was skeptical at first, and I will say I really thought that they were gonna pull out some like, okay, so I thought it would be like the finales, like the live finales that they would do where Jeff they would cut to Jeff in like on a sound set or sound stage, and he'd be like talking to the camera sort of thing, and then we'd have like maybe a 20-minute look back at all of Survivor. I was surprised that it just like hit the ground running with like the actual episode and that there was I mean, there was a fair amount of callbacks and stuff, but
It was like, "Wow."
more formal thing. I don't know. But I thought overall the 3 hours was good. I really am shocked that I didn't find it more painful to be 3 hours. The first hour and a half, I remember it went by and I was like, "Dang, it's been an hour and a half already." And then I did think the last hour and a half was a little slower, um, but, not having an immunity challenge and stuff like that in the second part, I think slowed it down a little bit, and tribal council, but what about you?
Similar, very pleasantly surprised. I thought I was gonna get bored. Um, I thought it was gonna be a little bit redundant. I thought there was gonna be like, the commercials normally, the commercials bother me, and I know we're gonna watch commercials because this is live TV. Isn't that crazy how now it's, like, such a pain to watch live TV because nobody's used to watching it? I'm like, "Oh, what the heck?" But if it's a show like Survivor that I'm really into, I'm a little bit thankful for the commercials because I can get a snack, I can go to the bathroom, I can do whatever and not feel like I'm missing something, but and still be real time with everybody. But I thought the 3-hour format for the premiere especially was perfect, and I think they did the perfect amount of, like, throwback recaps.
Mhm.
And I will have to admit, I have watched every season, but it's been a long, long time. Mary's been good about going back and watching seasons that 50 players have been on historically, just kind of little market research action before Survivor 50 started, and I haven't done that. So I was reminded by so many things that I had like I knew that there was a rift between Ozzy and Coach, but I don't think I realized how deep the rift went. So the fact that they went back and like reminded us of things and reminded us about Serene, her strategy, reminded us about Colby and his strategy. It's been a long time. So it was
Yeah,
good to see those things. Um,
okay.
I thought it was great.
What did you think about, I guess, maybe in general, how everybody sort of received everybody else, like, and the initial perceptions on, who's a threat and everything? So, I'll give an example. I was surprised at how everyone was fangirling over Cirie and, like, acting like well, I don't wanna say acting like, but everybody clearly, like, loves her and was, like, so excited for her and everything, and, um, thinks of her as a big threat, and I'm like I get the social part. I think I'm just one of those people that doesn't see her as like that like top 5 player just because of the challenge situation, like her inability to do a challenge. But everybody seemed to be so enamored with her and then focused on her as a threat. So that was like something that stood out to me.
I wonder if it's for her specifically, I wonder if it's because she has played more times than anybody. Like, she has played 5 times, and I wonder if it's like a name recognition thing is they're all, like, most familiar with Cirie, and they're most familiar with her strategy, and they're most familiar like, her name is synonymous. Like, I would say, like, probably top 10 for maybe top 5 people that you think of that have played Survivor. I think
Mhm.
most people would name her just because she's played so much. So I wonder if
Yeah.
that has something to do with it, or if they were all just being real cordial, or maybe she's just real likable. Who knows?
I mean, I obviously, yeah, she's likable. I just that threw me. And then
Savannah seemed very pleasant.
she
I know
did.
we're far ahead of myself, but I kept on being like, "Huh."
Yeah, and I made a note that when she had her journey and was with Colby,
And then
she
your challenge. This that is a joke. It's called Journey. I've misspoke every single time we've talked about the journey.
in that moment, she was, like, basically telling him, "Oh, you're so great, like, a group watching you, you're such an icon," etcetera, and I thought, "Ugh, gosh, annoying," but then she in the confessional was the same way, and I was like, "Okay, this seems genuine then, not, like, just" 'cause my biggest complaint with her in season 49 was that she would say and do things in the group and then be different in the confessional, but in an annoying way, like crying about things and how people are mean to her, but then being mean to people, you know what I mean? So, like, I was anytime I see, like, her actually being genuine, I'm surprised.
I think as the season goes on, her and Dee specifically will either stick together like glue or they will butt heads, and there
Mhm.
it'll be one extreme or another.
Yeah. I'm really excited to see, one thing that really surprised me was that they did not seem to be hyper focused on getting out the winners other than there was a push for D, but that just didn't come to like, it didn't need to happen, right? But nobody was, like, talking about Kyle, and when Savannah told everybody that she won, there was, like, a little bit of, like, "Oh, yeah, she must be pretty cutthroat if she won," but, like, nobody wanted to target her, it didn't feel like at least not in any real kind of way, and but it wasn't until after she came back from that journey and was like, "Oh, I just got to keep my vote," and they're like, "Yeah, we weren't born last night, she obviously got an advantage." That's, like, the first time, so I wonder if that will play out more as, like, "Oh, we gotta get rid of her because we can't trust her, and she's a former winner, and now she has an advantage."
Yeah, and she literally won 2 weeks ago.
Right. Yeah,
Um,
and
but
go
I
ahead.
love that immediately the people, the old players were like, "Tough shit." Because in 49, everybody would have been like, "Oh, okay, you kept your vote. That's so great." But
Yeah.
everybody in, like, old era players were like, "We're not stupid. Like, we weren't burnt born yesterday." And so I liked the fact that they were like, "Tough shit. We're not
Yeah.
into it." So we'll see. And I feel like I've got a vendetta a little bit, and I shouldn't. I just don't like how Savannah played, and I think that that you can be I think no shade, I like Survivor Season 49, and this may get me canceled, but she was a big fish in a small pond. Nobody was there to pull.
Agreed. Yeah. I won't add to it because
Do you wanna move on to the first challenge?
yes.
They
Alright.
came out the format was fabulous. It was a long challenge, and I wonder if it's because there were so many players. We've talked
Mm,
about this before, but there were 24 players, which is the most they've ever had in a Survivor season. So I wonder if they gave the game more components to make sure that they included everybody who's playing. So it felt like a long challenge, but I also like the fact that everybody came out guns a-blazing.
mm.
Everybody was ready to play, like, mentally and physically, it just seemed like they were you ever watch the Kentucky Derby when the horses are about to run and they're in their little stalls and they're hopping around? That's what
Yeah.
it's
Yeah. I thought well, first of all, I thought a cool challenge, and I think that I mean, this long, long episode, I feel like we got more footage of that challenge than we have of, like, any other challenge ever. It felt like they really were going from beginning to end, showing you every single thing for every single tribe. So, to some extent, I was like, "Let's pick up the pace here a little bit," but I also was into it. And I was really surprised at the performance of the 3 ladies that started it out. So it was like Camilla, Savannah, and oh my gosh, who's the other
Camilla?
person? Oh, Stephanie. And
Yeah, yeah.
Stephanie, she was just like a beast digging out that sand and everything. And I was really surprised that Savannah I thought she would be like the first one under that log, and she wasn't. And I was a little bit confused by the
Hold
choice
on.
of Camilla.
I think they picked just the tiniest girl because
Mhm.
it would be easiest to get the tiniest girl under the log.
Yeah, I just didn't feel like
Could you
I
imagine
mean,
if like Jonathan get the log? He would have been like, well, he either would have struggled because he's so big, or he would have just been like one swoop,
he would like pick the log up and just
or put the whole beach up. Everybody would be like, what? There's no sand left in all of Fiji.
I love that.
Um, one thing I want to mention about Jonathan is Marion asked said something that still cracks me up when I think about it is we said that he looks like Jesus who smokes weed frequently, and I think that's accurate.
So
Anyway,
Um, but yeah, so Vatu pulled out a win there and got their bonfire and their flints. That was an exciting one.
well,
I didn't really understand exactly what Christian was doing with that ring thing. Like he ran ahead and hit a bunch of the things in and Jeff was like, "Oh, Christian setting himself up for the puzzle or whatever." But then I saw him like pushing them back. I was confused, but
I don't know. I didn't understand that piece about getting the ring across. One thing that I bet is substantially harder than it looks is when they have that pole and they're trying to get that sack around
oh,
this.
I was
And
imagining the shoulders would be
yeah,
so
you know
sore.
the poles are heavy.
Mhm.
Uh, And have a bit because they let 2 people do it. I liked the challenge, and do you think that the advantages were more so somebody got flint and somebody got a bonfire and
Mhm. Yeah. Um, yeah, I guess because I guess the fire is the most important part to a lot of people. I don't know what else I could think of them giving them in that moment, but
I like that Jeff kept on throwing back. He kept on saying, "In the hands of the fans." They decided to give you this. They didn't decide to give you this. The players had to have known. I feel like even giving them rice in the beginning, what a silly question to ask. Of course we don't want them to have rice. Of course we don't want them. We want them to earn their stuff.
That's a good point to bring up because I have seen so many people complaining and accusing that of being rigged because they can't believe that people would vote to not give them rice or supplies.
I
And
voted for not giving them rice was. What did you vote?
and I guess to be fair, I think Jeff said rice was 53-47 in terms of, like, earning it versus giving them the opportunity to earn it. Still, I mean, I it just to think that it was rigged because they didn't get it is crazy to me because I do think a lot of people who wanna see them have to struggle.
Well, I think that people in general, if they don't get what they want, they how could it possibly be not what I want?
True, true, true. Wait, did they get any rice for winning that challenge?
No,
So they still don't have rice.
no, just fine. And
Dang.
coconut.
Alright.
Um, After the challenge, everybody went back, and it felt like it was like immediate disbursement to look for idols. Loved it.
Yes!
Loved it. They
Like,
they weren't there to powwow. They were there for play.
yeah, and that's such an interesting situation to be in, like, looking for something that may or may not be there. I don't know, but, do you think did you vote for idols or no idols, I guess, first of all?
What did you vote for?
Yeah. I honestly don't remember, but I wanna say I probably voted no idols
Ooh,
just because I thought, "Let's get back to basics here," you know? But, um I like just a straight up immunity idol. I don't when they start to get real complicated and stuff, then I'm like but
from
I get that it adds excitement. I just have an old brain. Okay, I can keep up. So,
I think it's because I love, love, love in my core, I love it blindside. So I
mm,
like it with somebody I'm never gonna get over Sophie B. I'm never gonna get over it. She had
yeah,
that in her pocket the whole time and then just fumbled so hard, knocked all her teeth out, fell down, not literally,
yeah.
figuratively, just fumbled. Everybody just kept on waiting for her to pull the trigger, and she was like, "No, I'm gonna hand it to my friend Savannah."
And
"Is it one thing gonna hand you $500,000, sister? No."
the thing about that that makes me laugh the most looking back on it now is the fact that Steven still got voted out. So, like, she could have not done anything with that, and they still voted him out. And at that point, they had to know that, like, Sage was gonna vote with them and stuff to get him out, so it makes even less sense that she tried to, like, do that with him. Although, I guess if she didn't know what it was, maybe she thought it would be like an idol or something, I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, we don't need to talk about 49 M.
No, sorry, keep
No.
yeah.
So, yeah, my I had some notes about, like, the initial interactions at camp that were funny to me, like, Dee coming out of the gate just conceited as hell right away, cracked me up, and not that she was I mean, she was a good player and, won and everything, so she has the right to be, at least a little bit conceited, but it just I was like, "Whoa, calm down, okay? There's a lot of people here who could take you down real quick."
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I think that that's, like, the perfect way to put a target on your back. Just go. Just go. Because like, Charlie, Mike White, there are a couple other people, Camilla, which surprised me. I feel like they're being thoughtful and, like, in my opinion, based on my not expert experience, because I've never played this game, I think you don't need to be the in the very, very beginning, don't be the leader and don't be
Mhm.
the worst. All you have to do is be average.
Just be in the middle.
Until the merge, be as average as you can be, vote with the group, do what you need to do, collect information, socialize, be
Mhm.
average.
Get names out unless, like, you could be a master manipulator like Christian.
Right, right.
Yeah, I agree with that. How
And
did
like
you feel about the Rizzo Colby thing? Because I know you love Colby.
Colby, I love everything about Colby. I think he's handsome. I like his voice. I like everything about him. But in the beginning, I'm not surprised at all that there was an initial whoa with Rizzo, but I don't like that. I think it was wholesome that he
Mhm.
came out to him because I had a very similar reaction to him in 49. I'm disappointed that he never turned on Savannah. He needed to turn on Savannah because this is not a fraternity or sorority. This is Survivor and you want to win. So that disappointed me a little bit. But overall, I think he's a likable dude.
What if, okay, I don't wanna get I'm gonna talk about that real quick and then go to something else, so something related though. I thought when we first saw Rizzo on the beach that he seemed really nervous and really, like,
Agree.
subdued, and it was very awkward and very I mean, I know Rizzo's, like, loud and out there and everything, but it was such a weird and, like, cringy thing when he was like, call me,"
Yeah.
whatever.
Do you think
So
he's
that
exhausted?
Huh?
Do you think he's exhausted or do you think he's, like, intimidated by
Intimidated for sure, I think. But I did like it when Colby, like, pulled him aside and talked to him. One of, I think, the endearing things about Rizzo for me is that he does seem like a nice dude at the end of the day, and, like, when he's emotional about something, it feels genuine, and that was refreshing, I think, in 49, so also refreshing here, and I wonder and I hope if Colby can make it a decent way in this game, I hope that he can be the person to be like, "Whatever happened on 49, you gotta let that go, man, because she obviously won. You did not even make it to the final 3. This is a game about you, and you can't play alone, but you can't play it with somebody who you already know is not gonna, like, necessarily have your back at till the end." I don't think Savannah would think twice about putting herself in front of him if she needed to.
Yeah, well, in front of anybody. That made me think of something. I love the Black Widow Brigade. I love them. I love them. And Suri was part of that. And one of the people that was leading the chart in that. I could see Black Widow Brigade be too, because Savannah's dominant, Dee's dominant,
Mm.
Suri, for some reason, seems to be dominant. I could see Camilla getting in on that. I could see them playing black.
That's a great point, but I don't know that the guys and the women who aren't
With
part of that
Oscar.
would be smart enough to recognize that that could happen and get them out. I mean, I
Genevieve
hate to
could
say
see
this.
hopping on board.
What's that?
Genevieve, I could see hopping on board.
Yeah. I worry, and I know we only saw 1 episode, and you could argue that Jenna was aggressive in her gameplay, and that's why they targeted her, but there was an immediate opportunity to get rid of one of 2 very strong players. We have Suri, who's got the social and strategy, and Ozzy, who's a challenge beast. Get one of them out when you can, especially if there's an inkling that they're, like, working together, and they instead got rid of Jenna, who I would argue is probably not that big of a threat in the long run. So I'm worried to see that, although it's 1 episode in, and we always like, the first episode, it's you just pick the easiest person who ruffles the least feathers, but I would like to see something different in this season 50 cast.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I like the backdoor strategy stuff. That's my favorite. When somebody's totally convinced, and then you can see the shock on their face when they're like, "The fifth person, but I just forgot her is so and so in there." I like it.
Well, I guess I mean, let's talk about the, immunity challenge, and then I can't wait to talk about tribal, and
I,
then
okay.
action videos.
Um, Immunity challenge. I have lots of thoughts. You want to go? Or you want me to go?
Oh, shoot. Wait, did we skip the supplies challenge? That's
Yes.
my bad.
Oh, we did. We did. Okay, let's talk about that. Spa challenge. We had Ozzy. We had Coach, and we had
Q, my boy.
that's Mary's favorite, and I think Q is a
Oh,
cutie.
wait, I'm supposed to be is this how does Gen Z do a heart? Some
I'm not sure. My kids triangles. Love you, mom. Love you.
I thought that I don't know what I thought about that challenge.
Are you surprised who went?
No,
I'm not.
I don't know. I don't think so. I think 'cause in this group of people, I think there'd be, like, 3 people maybe total. I'd be surprised if they got chosen to do something like that. I thought it was a fun group. I guess I was surprised a little bit that Q went, but otherwise
I think they were like saying, "Oh, those guys are strong. You go. You're strong." I think that that was a little bit of it. Um, I personally, okay, I'm sure everybody who's watching this has probably watched Survivor season 50, episode 1. But they went to the beach, Q, Coach, and Ozzy. Ozzy and Coach have had some like historical beef. Well, they had to build long sticks that were unstable to get a hook, uh, a key off a ring. And then if you got the key off a ring, you got to get the splash. Well, at some point, it was taking way, way longer than anybody expected. They started out like really, really working hard at it. It took longer than expected. So Ozzy said he was working harder than everybody else, and he was like, "Okay, if I get this down, I'm gonna take it." And nobody really said anything back. I think he was like, "Okay," like casually, and
Mhm.
coach didn't say anything. Well, Ozzy knocked it down.
Said
Coach,
Boo Dick.
yeah, he didn't say "boo diddly." That was his direct quote. Well, coach knocked it down, and then no, I'm sorry, Ozzy knocked it down, and then coach went and got it, and it was this big stink because Ozzy was like, "I'm the one who worked to knock it down," which is true. But I don't think coach did anything wrong by stealing it.
Either.
You're playing Survivor.
Yeah, and I have so many thoughts about or this is gonna be like 4-hour episode because I have, like, deep thoughts on all of it. Well, I say deep, I mean a lot, not actually intellectually deep or meaningful. So, okay, it surprised me that Ozzy was complaining about his back, so obviously he's injured. That's the first thing I took away from that. Like, there's something going on with his back that could be trouble down the road. Number 2, I mean, they literally knew from the beginning that they could steal the key from each other, so it's not like, they were supposed to not do that or something. It's not like an immunity idol that you find and then it's yours, and then it's whatever. So that was strange, that there was such, like, a big, strong reaction. To your point, coach didn't say, "No, I won't take it from you." He
I think
just, like,
that
no. And then I thought it was strange later on when the retelling was happening and they were like, "Yeah, coach just stole it from Ozzy," that there was, like, this, "Oh my gosh," reaction
was
from
like, "Oh, yeah, good
sleaze.
play."
Right, and also, like, he got supplies for you, so you can't act like he's shady and stuff if he literally was fighting to get supplies for your tribe.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I totally agree, and I like that Q was kinda like it's like it was like 2 parents in the car, and the kid was in the back being like and the parents were fighting. He was like, "Oh, oh, oh."
And then we find out that so the coach gets to leave with the supplies, and then we are left with Ozzy and Q on dun 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 Exile Island,
Yeah.
which was interesting.
What was the purpose of Exile Island?
I don't know, and here's my thing, I've said this before, I don't like Exile Island in general,
Yeah.
unless every time you go there, there's an advantage. If there's nothing for you to win and you're just being sent away, I find it boring, and maybe if they're gonna do it, just don't I don't need to see, like, extended scenes where people are at Exile Island because there's nothing it's not helping anything. So I really wished that they would've, like, dug around and found an idol or something, or that there would've been something left by
Oh,
production.
I was snuggled up on the beach.
Yeah, that was so cute the next morning when they had, like, their backpacks on and, like
It was literally like a slumber party, but maybe it gave them some sort of opportunity to form an alliance or something, I guess, but they didn't go into that. It just felt like I just don't on purpose. No, I wasn't into it.
It did produce one of the quotes that made me laugh of the episode when Ozzy just looked at him or Q looked at Ozzy, he goes, "Hi, Ozzy, I'm Q." But yeah, so then they get a little note that says they have to decide which one of them is going to leave with supplies and lose a vote, and which one is going to get an extra vote and no supplies. And so I have mixed feelings about this because everybody acted like Q just rolled over and died and was stupid and let Ozzy manipulate him, but I don't think Q is dumb like that, so I think he maybe, like, weighed it out and thought, "Well, I don't need my vote right now because we have a strong alliance. Let's take the supplies," and then Ozzy took the extra vote.
And then maybe he thought because we don't know what happened on that island, but maybe he thought, "Okay, this is gonna secure my alliance with Ozzy if I
Yeah,
in the future."
yeah. So, I don't know.
I agree with you because people will have online have a lot of strong reactions to what he did there, and I'm like, somebody had to say no,
Yeah.
and sometimes it's better to like he lost his vote, sure, but he gained a ally.
Right, and supplies. And then when he goes back to Ozzy, I forget what I mean, he came back with supplies, so he probably just like, "Oh, I didn't lose my vote and I have supplies," but he didn't tell anybody about the extra vote, I
No,
don't think.
no, he kept his mouth shut about that.
And then Q goes back and says that, just didn't lose supplies, and I don't think he told anybody that he didn't lose his vote until a little bit later he tells Kyle. And I actually found out listening to Kyle's exit interview that he basically told everybody at some point, but I think in the show we only saw him tell Kyle, which is
Yeah.
funny.
I liked him so much. I feel like he's such a likable guy, and I bet that's why he goes so well because he's good or goes so far because he's good at like determining what information he wants to share with people. So he's not. If you tell everybody everything, people will absolutely will not trust you. But if you're thoughtful, you can gain trust instead of lose trust
Mhm.
sharing information. And I think he's really good about finding that balance and like capitalizing on the information he has.
Yeah, agreed. Uh,
Okay, so do you want to move on to the immunity challenge?
yes.
So this challenge was way more physical than anything that we have seen in 49 or prior seasons, which is good.
Mhm.
I think that's great. It seemed to be super hands-on, super physical. And it had a puzzle component, not just any puzzle component, but a puzzle with 50 pieces. And I have never, well, I take that back. One time I built a jigsaw puzzle that was shaped like the Titanic that floated in the bathtub. But that probably took me 3 weeks. I mean, it took a long time. All that to say is 50 pieces is a lot of pieces for a stand-up puzzle.
I was trying to think, the only people I could think of that was bigger and more complex, at least in recent memory. Was it Game Changers maybe? There was one where they had, like, a crazy big puzzle that they had to do, but it was, like, flat on a board, and it took forever.
Yeah, I don't like when challenges when it shows up like this, but about 45 minutes later, and they're,
Yeah.
like, still doing the same thing. But the puzzles, we all know if you're ahead by a mile, but if you get to the puzzles and you can't do the puzzles, you're screwed.
Mhm.
I almost said a bad word.
Yeah. But that challenge had so many, like, wild moments. So, number 1, obviously Kyle getting injured.
Is that a
I
perfect
didn't Yeah, I would have never guessed if anybody was gonna get injured on a challenge or on a piece of a challenge like that, it would be Kyle or any like, it'd be equally shocking if, like, Joe or Q or John or somebody that's just, like, super athletic got injured. I mean, I would expect, like, Suri or somebody to fall down and hurt themselves, but that was
she
interesting.
just hurt herself for sucking.
But that made me sad, and I think as soon as he landed like that, I was like, "Oh, he's out." 'Cause I mean, how are you gonna come back? Even if it's just sprained, like, you can't compete anymore, and you only have 26 days. I mean, that could take weeks to fully heal, you know?
And 2 things I took away from that is I can't even imagine how painful it is to tear your Achilles. I can't imagine. I cannot imagine the pain. But he didn't never, like, reacted terribly, and when they said, "If you can get up the wall," and he's like, "We'll figure it out." Like, immediately, "We'll figure it out. It's fine. We'll figure it out." And then he wasn't hesitant to go back up because he could have slid back down and, like, can't even imagine. Very nonchalant, "We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out." And then they did. I liked Kyle in this season, but I know he only played 1 episode this season, but still, I was like, really,
Yeah,
really mad respect for Kyle.
I agree, and I can't wait. I'm sure he'll be back for a future
Yes,
season. I cannot wait.
yes. One more thing about Kyle, and I know we'll probably talk about the medical evac, but I saw a post where he has a baby due in May.
Yeah!
Yeah, so
Uh,
that's exciting.
yeah, that's
Congratulations, Kyle.
so then the other part I wanted to mention was Surrey and the, ball, so I mean, I don't I don't know how she got chosen for that particular piece, or I do now 'cause I listened to something about it, but yeah, and then, like, I guess maybe they couldn't swap out or something, but if there was an opportunity to swap her out of there, get her out of there, but, like, that felt like if there was anything that she'd be capable of doing, it would be that, but you and I mean, as we were watching it, she just kept going like this and, like, trying to fling it. I'm like, "What do you this is a cartoon thing. You don't have to do this. Just overhand chuck it or, like, take it back and do one swing." It just didn't make any sense to me, but whatever. But I listened to Jenna's exit interview. I can't wait to talk about that because homegirl is salty.
Good, good, good.
But she was talking about that whole situation, and she said that, the edit obviously doesn't show exactly what happened in real life, but she said it was like a solid 20 minutes of Suri trying to get that ball hooked just by herself, like, everybody else had already, like, moved on or whatever, and she was still out there just trying to throw that ball, and apparently, um Savannah was like before the challenge, she was like, "I wanna do that part because I just did it in 49 and I, like, won doing it, that won the challenge or whatever." And Suri was like, "No, no, no, I have this built in my backyard, let me do it." So,
Sure.
I mean, this it's the information like that that we don't get during the episode that makes me even more confused why she's not someone who gets voted out. Not and I don't dislike her as a person or anything, but, like, you're a liability to the tribe, and especially early on, they can't afford to have people who can't perform in challenges.
Yeah.
That's
But
how you the disaster tribe.
it takes one person to turn a regular tribe into a disaster tribe, literally one.
Yeah, and I mean, now they're down one, so they're not gonna be able to sit somebody out. It's not like they can be like, "We don't want her to participate in this." Like, maybe they could be like, "Hey, Jeff, can we just have her sit out? And we'll just be down 2 people."
Yeah, right? Right?
I wonder if Angelina will ever
I think
ask.
Carrie knew she was not gonna be good at anything else, and that was the only thing that she thought maybe
I
she could
guess.
be. I think about every time they do the net in the mud where they have to, like, roll through or crawl through a net, I think I would have a heart attack. I would panic. I can't stand being stuck.
No. The one that really gets me is the tube that's, like, twisted.
Yeah. Oof.
I
You
would
even get new hair.
cut me out of that because I would freak out.
I I'd have to shave my head before I went.
Yeah, it's not like some girls who do it with, like, braids or dreads or whatever, like, Are you
No,
kidding?
I couldn't do it. I
So
could
heavy and to be, like, caked in mud.
Who finished somebody was like a puzzle oh, it was Camilla. Camilla
Yeah,
Ri
I really did well, and I mean, I don't really remember if she was good at puzzles before, but that surprised me in the moment, at least. I didn't expect her to be the one to, like.
I think Camilla's a sleeper pick and people won't give her enough credit
Mhm.
because I
Yeah.
think she's smart.
I'm trying to remember who we said would be the top like, who were our predictions for top 3.
I think I was just pulling names out
I
of it.
think we I think we had
Like Colby.
we had a combination of Charlie, Tiffany, Emily, and Christian, so that'll be
This episode didn't they didn't put much emphasis on Tiffany.
yeah, I think there was, like she formed an alliance with, um, Dee and Camilla, and that was, like, really the extent, I feel like, of her screen time. There were this is a good maybe point to give this opinion, and I want yours too, but I felt like there were several people who it was like, "Why are you here?" Almost like the Sophie S or something like, "Oh, yeah, I forgot about you being here." It was Aubrey for me anyway, Aubrey, Tiffany, that actually might be it. No, Chrissy was the other one.
Oh, yeah, Chrissy.
Like, "Okay, you're here, cool."
Maybe they'll get more because, I mean, 24 people is a lot of people to focus
Alright.
on, good
So we
stuff.
go back to camp, and everybody's trying to figure out who to vote out. And then there's wait, yeah, we go. It was immunity challenge, camp, tribal, then the adventure challenge for Colby and Savannah, and then right, or did that come
Yeah,
before?
no, that's right. That's right. And
Okay.
also, we can't forget about Genevieve.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so for travel, we went in obviously knowing that it was gonna be Jenner 3, and I thought there was gonna be, like, 49-50 vote. I thought they were gonna be pretty split on who they were gonna vote for. Obviously, production had me fooled because it was unanimously Jenna. I'd be so curious to know what conversations they had around that before. Did Jenna have anything to say in her exit interview?
Yeah. So you have to take what someone says in their exit interview with a grain of salt, especially if they're as heated as she is.
I like that she's mad though, because I feel like recently people get let it out, and I respect the game, and I respect my fellow players.
Mhm.
Don't be mad. Be mad.
Wouldn't even she was like, "Okay," got up and, like, stormed out, like, she didn't even wanna, like, say goodbyes to people and stuff. But she said that she is not the person who threw Cerie's name out there, that in fact Christian was the one who, came to her and said, "I think that Cerie is the biggest threat, I think we need to get her out." And Jenna was like, "Well, that makes sense to me, plus she's a, challenge liability, so sure." And so she, like, was just promoting that as an option. Now, I will say I felt like she got, like, way too aggressive, at least in the edit, she seemed very aggressive with it, which is gonna scare people early on, even seasoned players. And then, we saw Christian basically tell Devins to go and well, I don't know if we saw that part, but we saw him notify Siri that Jenna was gunning for her, which obviously pissed her off, and it's gonna cause other conversations to be had. So, I don't think we ever really got, in my opinion, like, a clear look at why anybody decided it was gonna be Jenna outside of, like, Suri, who obviously and, like, Ozzy, who would vote for with Suri. But I thought that was interesting because, like I said earlier, I don't feel like she's the biggest threat, so I don't know why she was the target.
No, I just wonder if they were like, okay, Ozzy and Suri are pretty dominant personalities. They're on the same page. Like, we're gonna let him lead it. But Savannah multiple times said Suri was a challenge threat, and I feel like she's pretty vocal.
Well, the other thing Jenna kept saying in her exit interview, which I think is 100% true, is that when you have a strong duo working together, that's really dangerous and you have to break those people up immediately. And this was an
Well,
opportunity
the
to do
players
that.
now recently at 49.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, Savannah, she should have seen that because she's part of it. But
First episode, I get just being I'm going with the group. Especially her. Savannah's gotta be real careful, being like, you
Mhm.
jumped one literally 25 minutes ago. And you just
Maybe she thought if we keep Suri and Ozzy, that takes the target off my back for a little bit because they're going to be like two people whose names are going to get thrown out because they're working together very obviously.
yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
That's
But they
bold.
did. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
That's bold to be working together, like, blatantly.
Yeah. And I think they thought like, I would imagine that Suri and Ozzy thought that they are, like, an unexpected pair so they can work almost like a Kyle Camilla, like, do it under the radar. But apparently they made it clear that they were working together just by the fact that they were, like, outwardly, like, super friendly with each other. This is what Jenna says anyway.
But they played together.
I know, but they were, like, enemies, like, to be cheering for each other and outwardly friends would probably raise suspicions, I would think, especially if you have people saying like, "Look, I think they're working together."
Yeah, and they're like, "Okay, interesting." So, I'm sad Jenna's gone because I like Jenna and I wanted to watch her play more, but I was glad how she reacted when it was over. I don't want it to be pleasant when you leave. I want you to be pissed. And I like that she was like,
If I ever a monster ever give it out, I'm just gonna be like, "Bleep everybody."
yeah, good. And I'll say, yeah, you're not getting voted out. You're not getting voted out.
Speaking of oh, never mind, we'll move on.
What?
This is for the end.
Okay. Uh, so after travel, there were still 45 minutes left. And you and I, well, I was like, there's 45 minutes left. What are they going to do for 45
Oh,
minutes?
same.
So they immediately went to another folks pulled up another adventure challenge, and the people that went were Savannah and Colby. Colby volunteered. Did Savannah
I
volunteer? And Mike. Mike didn't even get to do anything. Why'd they
yeah,
take him?
that was silly. I don't remember Mike, I think they did, like, rock, paper, scissors. Mike and somebody did
But that
rock.
was a big lift to have him do rock paper scissors.
Yeah. Was it Charlie or something? I forget who he did it with because I don't remember who but, I don't remember how Savannah got picked, but, yeah, I thought that was lame that within, like, 5 seconds I mean, I was, like, confused, like, "Wait, where'd Mike go?" Because like, within 5 seconds, they drew these rocks, and then he just go he was, like, on a boat just going on.
Flash his abs one more time. He was like, all right, I got you.
Mm,
What do you think about that challenge? It
that
seemed
was
pretty
fun.
okay.
Oh, you know, I thought it was, like I thought it was boring as a challenge in terms of, like okay, looking at, MC and,
Yeah.
Nate with the bags last time, that was, like, or Rizzo and, I can see his face, but I can't think of his name.
But where there was actual challenge. This felt like a game you'd play at a bar. Like,
Yeah.
it was, like,
Yeah.
very chill.
I did feel like and that this wasn't the only time I felt this way in this episode, but I thought this was the most obvious time where it felt very awkward, and you could almost tell that them being there playing it, they felt awkward and like it was awkward chatter and stuff.
I als
So
I also watch a lot of dating shows, and it felt like a date they would have put a
yeah.
couple on, where it was like, "Okay, let's get together and play this board game and see if you are compatible." Savannah kept on being like, "Oh, I look up to Colby," whatever. I feel like Savannah's so full of shit. Every time she says anything, I'm like, shut the hell up." So everybody now knows my opinion about
You're jealous because she was talking to your man.
yeah, that's right. She was talking to Colby, my
She
man.
had a date with your boyfriend. And
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. Um,
we were talking during it. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Surprised that Savannah came out with that because it seemed like Colby would obviously win.
Yeah. It felt
She has some challenge voodoo or something.
yeah. I thought it was weird that they were allowed to, like, manipulate it after like, I would think that you would only be able to touch like, you pick up a piece and that's the only piece you can touch and you set it down, not, like, stabilizing it and, like, manipulating it with your thumbs and stuff as you're going. Like, that felt weird.
Yeah. But then after it was over, so Colby lost his vote. Yeah.
Colby lost his vote. Savannah ended up that she thought that they weren't getting any sort of reward for it or advantage, but as she was leaving, she's given Block a vote, which is interesting. And my favorite part of the episode is when they come back from that. And I know we already talked about it, but when they come back from that and they want to know what happened, and she's like, "Yeah, we played this puzzle game, and I just didn't lose my vote, and I didn't get any reward." And everybody was like, "Yeah, effing right."
Yeah. Yeah. That was so stupid. So let's go through before we get into the medical. Let's go through the. Oh wait, before we do that, we have to talk about Genevieve. So Genevieve was on the beach looking for an idol with who she with. Anyway, she found an idol in a log and pulled it out, looked at it, and it was the Billie Eilish Boomerang Idol. I'll tell you one thing. I think when we learned about the Billie Eilish, that's hard to say, Billie Eilish Boomerang Idol before the season ever started, I thought this is gonna be cheesy. This is gonna be gross. This is gonna be dumb. This is gonna be weird. Billie Eilish is gonna pop out of a bush and give somebody an idol. And I thought this is just gonna be yucky. If they're gonna have like a celebrity sponsored idol or something like that, like the old ode to Billie Eilish, just because she's a big Survivor fan, the way they did it, I liked it. I thought it was fine. But to your point, the complexity that comes with some of these advantages is deep. So it makes it hard to follow, especially when there's lots out there at the same time. So with the Billie Eilish Boomerang Idol, Genevieve was able to give the idol to somebody on another tribe. And if they go home with the idol in their pocket, it comes back to her. And
Mhm.
then the person who receives the idol from Genevieve doesn't know it's from Genevieve. They just know that they have got an idol in their pocket. So Genevieve decided to give the idol to Ozzy, not knowing that Ozzy has a extra vote. So now Ozzy has an extra vote and an individual immunity idol. And it seems like Ozzy's keeping his mouth shut about both. So he, advantage wise, is the most favorite
Stacked.
player in the game. Yeah. What do you
Yeah.
think about the whole thing?
So, I just felt I agree with you that if they're gonna do it, this was the least intrusive and the least annoying way to do it, because I would have really thought it was cringe if Billie Eilish was actually there and, like, you said popped out of a bush or something like that. But I just felt like it just didn't need to happen. Like, they could have just had an idol. It didn't have to be a Billie Eilish idol, and I don't know if that was, like,
Right.
elaborate marketing ploy just for the promos to get people to wanna watch it because they're like, "Well, what if she's there?" Okay, good for you, Survivor, if that's what it was, but it was just weird to me. But I didn't mind the idea of the idol. I don't remember anything like this happening before. Maybe I'm just forgetting, but, I think initially the way that I perceived it was they were choosing Ozzy because they thought he'd be the most likely to be voted out because Suri was over there and would wanna get rid of him. But in Kyle's exit interview, he said that they actually thought Ozzy would be the most likely to be receptive to working with them if he found out that they're the ones that were responsible for giving him the idol. When I say they, I mean apparently Genevieve talked to Kyle and possibly others to decide who was gonna get the idol in the first
I
place. So I was
I
well, that's
like that she
interesting.
did that because this with this particular advantage, I don't think it's what you keep your mouth shut about. I like that she used it as a tribe idol. In 49, for somebody got an advantage, they were like, "Hey, everybody, look at me. I got an advantage. Ooh, 4 time. Heck no, because you're gonna have to eat each other first
Right.
before you."
That's a good point because somebody actually like, one of the old era players actually said that and was like, um, "When you get an advantage, you need to keep it to yourself, like, whatever, whatever." That is clearly not how most of the new era players are, so I thought that was interesting. And
But this particular one, I could see it being like, "Okay, alright,
yeah. Yeah, agreed.
we as a group decide, who it goes to,
Mhm.
which is good. I thought the placement of the Billie Eilish Immunity Idol after the, tribal was kinda weird, but
Mhm.
it's fine. Um, okay, the last thing that happened on this 3-hour episode was sad. Kyle, we've already talked on this episode how much we like Kyle. We think he's a great player. I would have loved to have watched him play, but he unfortunately had a medical evac. What do you think here?
I felt like while it was a huge moment, it was a very anticlimactic way to end the episode because it's not like he got hurt again or something. It was just like they're just chilling, talking about stuff, and all of a sudden here comes the boat and the medic crew and Jeff and everything. So I thought that was just a little odd. And I think that was compounded by the fact that Kyle did not get emotional. He did not
I think
have
he
a strong reaction. So it was almost like a little bit of a flat ending, I thought. I mean, obviously his tribe got emotional and it riled up some things. Like I'm personally fearful now for Q because everybody that he was working with like is either gone or doesn't have a vote. So, but I thought it was sad. Plus, like just even the way that they tested him out to see if he had an ACL injury, while a very valid thing to do, even that was I mean, at least with the C-crate latch on, we saw him get, like, taken to a facility and tested out, like, that
I don't
maybe
think
would
it's gonna last long.
just be like, "Lay on your stomach, and we're gonna check your."
It made me wanna crack my Achilles tendon. I don't know
Yeah,
if you're when I have a Achilles tendon injury.
I was thinking about that too, but
We should have done that at the bar.
damn, that would have been an easier thing to build out than the immunity challenges everybody. Maybe for the next one, but it was definitely very sad. I love Kyle. He's one of my favorite winners
Yeah,
of time.
yeah,
Not my favorite, but one of my favorites. So I was really sad to see him go. But
yeah.
what
So
about
we
you?
have 2 people out, Jenna and Kyle. So now we're down to 22. I'll be curious. I think there's got to be we did the math in a previous episode, but there's gotta be multiple double eliminations to fit
Mhm.
the amount of gameplay they have. Um, so I wonder if more people get hurt or if they do double eliminations or what happens. But there's gonna be more, like, unexpected
Yeah.
dismissal this
You know what I would
season.
love to see is when they get to the merge and start doing individual immunity challenges to have like an on the spot elimination. like, the first person to fail at something just goes home immediately.
Cerrito, she gone. No, maybe Rizzo, he sucks too. I like Rizzo, but he can't he's athletic as I am, and that's not saying much.
You're athletic. You're more athletic than Rizzo.
Wow, thanks. We're setting the bar low.
But yeah. I wrote a note about Savannah, but I can't read it, so
Is it
that's
trash talk?
unfortunate.
Just so I'm down.
Is it what?
Back
No. I
no.
mean, it probably was actually. So before we go, there were a couple things I just wanna mention. These can be, like, real quick, just thoughts I had, like, initial reactions, and I want yours too. I felt like they definitely did an Emily Flippin winner's edit at the beginning.
Yeah.
So now she's my prediction to win. She didn't need to be featured as much as she was, I don't think, and the fact that they focused on her for, like, very specific conversations about her experiences and stuff, I felt like was that. I thought it was interesting that Rizzo got the first confessional, um, and I don't really know if that was, like, a strategic move on their part, like, maybe he was, like, one of the most liked players from 49 and people wanna see him first, or maybe kinda like a coach thing where he's known for his personality, so let's show this now because he's not gonna last long or what. The interesting thing about Ozzy being like, "I'm playing as Oscar, not Ozzy," I thought was and, like, being more strategic and stuff, and that's what I've always thought he was lacking. I mean, everybody I think thinks that, like, he has no strategy. He's just good at, challenges, so I'm excited, to see how that plays out, and that's it. Those are my final thoughts, my Jerry Springer final thoughts on the first
I
episode.
love your final thoughts. I review. Ozzy will always be Ozzy. I don't care what he wants to be called. Rizzo, I unfortunately don't think he's gonna stick around. For whatever reason. So maybe you're right. They're like, okay, get him in. And I think this episode was edited strategically in a way that's gonna be like, okay, we've got to appeal to our longtime fans. Got to focus a certain amount on first 5 season players. Okay,
Mhm.
we got to appeal to this group. We got to appeal to this group. So I wonder if that's why Rizzo got some time too. That way they can kind of appeal to the more recent watchers. But I think that for sure there's strategy around who they feature when and why they do it. I'm curious to know the science behind it when they're editing it. Because surely it's not just like, hey, that was fun. Let's put that in there. I think that's pretty cool information.
Mhm.
Overall, super pumped. I'm more pumped now for season 50 than I was before this episode. Again,
Yes.
I was hesitant to kind of lean in because I thought, oh no, it's not, it's not going to they're playing it up too much theatrics, too much cinema, if you will. But I don't think that well, I'm so pumped. And multiple times I got cold chills. I know that's lame.
Yeah, no, me too. Or like teary-eyed and stuff. I thought it was really, really good, and I don't know who it was, I always am bad at this, but somebody tweeted something like, "We've gotten more Survivor out of this episode than the last 10 seasons combined," and I
Agreed.
agree, like, it was fun, there was strategy, there was good challenges.
There's conflict.
Yeah, just a lot of excitement, and I'm excited, and I think there's still some people that I question, "Why did you bring them back?" But there are so many people who are here to play Survivor and be strategic and really do the work, and that's what we've been lacking in a lot of the recent seasons, so I'm excited to see.
All right. We'll check back next week for our recap on Survivor 50, episode 2. Just a reminder, we are on Instagram, X. I keep wanting to call it Twitter, Instagram, X, and TikTok. So if you're in any of those social media platforms, look forward to They Just Spoken. You'll get lots more like quick snips and little content throughout the week, which are so fun. We're a little bit unedited over there, which is really fun to watch. So thanks for listening.
Bye.